You're not happy about the size of classes, and you're saying you change it if you got into government. And yet in Wales, where Labour dominates the Welsh Assembly, as in charge of organising money for education, which affects class sizes, the class sizes have gone up dramatically over the 4 years. So where you are in power, you're not achieving small classes anyway.
Well, let's be clear in terms of where the power lies when it comes to dishing out budgets. The Conservative government at their last manifesto promised they'd protect funding for per pupil in schools. They failed to do that, and that has a consequential effect for Wales as well. Wales have protected their budgets as far as they possibly can. They've invested in early years. They've done everything that we believe you should be doing, and when Labour was in power, we ensured that all class sizes were reduced below 30. We had that manifesto promise. We kept to that promise. What the Conservatives have done is they've failed to protect our schools' budgets, and now we're seeing a crisis in our education system.
They say that they put more into education than's ever been put into before. And just to come back to where you are in power, because that's where we can judge you not so much on promises, but where you're doing it, the NSUWT says, at last, Labour and the Welsh Government have realised that class sizes matters. We've been campaigning them to allocate more money to reduce class size, and it seems at last they're listening. So they felt that you haven't got this before.
Well, we did. When Labour was last in power, we introduced the fact that under 30 for class sizes, we were absolutely clear on that, and we delivered on that. What the Conservatives have done is they've restricted the money that goes to Wales and goes across all of our country's schools. In England, we have an absolute crisis. They're trying to divert from that, where schools are writing out to parents telling them that they're losing significant money, which will result in curriculum reduction, teachers losing their jobs. So the crisis is within the English system at the moment, and we need to make sure that the funding goes in as promised by their manifesto. They keep breaking their manifesto promises. What we're saying is that we will deliver on ours. We've got a proven track record of doing that, and that this crisis is something that the government have created themselves by reducing the money into our schools, where we believe that actually our children do deserve a better future, and instead of creating a life raft for the privileged few grammar schools, actually we should be investing in all schools and making sure we get value for money and that every child can do well.
Absolutely, Angela. No one would argue that what we want is great schools and great opportunity for all children. Let's bring you back to some other campaign issues that have been bandied around the last few days. John McDonnell kicked off his election campaign, talk of increasing taxes for the rich, somewhere between £70,000. He considers that to be the band of the rich. That's about what you earn as an MP in the Houses of Parliament. Is that something you consider yourself? You're from a very working class background yourself. Do you think of yourself as rich?
Compared to my background, Ben, yes, I do. You know, I remember absolutely gut-wrenchingly feeling like, well, am I going to pay the gas bill today, or am I going to buy the food for my little lad at the time when I was a single parent?
So from where you've come from, Angela,
absolutely, I consider myself to be a lot better off than what I was when I was young.
Apologies for interrupting you, Angela, but we've only got a certain amount of time, as you know, and we'd like to put as many points as we possibly can. So you would understand that from where you've come from, you've worked very hard to achieve the standard of living, and you would say that, yes, you have increased your standard of living. Do you think that people earning £70,000 deserve to be paying more tax? Because if you live in big cities, and a lot of the accountancy firms have turned around and looked at these figures and said people who live in big cities and face crippling lifestyle costs because of that, they won't believe that they're rich, and actually they'll believe that they're the squeezed middle at £70,000 a year.
Yeah, Ben, that's not what John was proposing. You know, John was talking about the fact that the corporation tax has been reduced under this government, and the top percent, the 50% tax rate, was reduced under this government when they're cutting back our services like schools. So that's the real reason. But you've got to put the context of £70,000 a year. That's the top 10% of earners, and I know that I'm privileged to earn that amount, and that I know that actually, compared to my constituents who are facing those issues that I faced as a single parent now, that they would see me in a much better privileged position than I see myself. I know what my struggles are, but they're pale into insignificance compared to what many across the UK are dealing with at the moment.